I'm here with Saj Hussain. He's a friend, a fellow property investor. He specializes in JV. He's got an exceptionally inspiring story. So we're going to go under the bonnet, ask him some really nice questions because I like him. He's from Birmingham. I'm not going to hold that against him. But then we're going to go deep under the bonnet and ask some uncomfortable questions, and let's see how Saj answers them, and let's see how much information we can get out of him, because I think his whole concept is not to answer any question, and my concept is to try and get more information out of him. So watch the video to find out. Being in the world of property, what's at least the one thing that happened to you that you didn't expect in property, and how did you deal with it? Because life's full of curved balls.
Yeah, well, let's do one massively positive thing that happened for me in property very early on when I got involved. So the background was in IT, and this is when we were rolling out networks, putting Cisco routers in and Windows servers in, at that time. And I'd spend days and nights learning this stuff so that I could go and charge somebody to go and do it for them, right? So my knowledge is what I've been paid for, and that's what the value was. So in property, when I was coming to learn about property investing, I'd bump into somebody and they'd just be open about, oh, we do it like this is what you do, and this. And I'm thinking, why are you telling me all this? I couldn't understand why people are so open and helpful when I'd used to, in my experience, come from a background where most of my peers weren't open. If I was stuck on how to get a server to work, there wasn't many people I could ring that would answer the question for me. Yeah, I can come and have a look at it for you, it'd be 100 quid an hour, or whatever it might be, because everyone was around me was making money from their time. So that was a massive positive thing that came, and I go, whoa, people are so open with their knowledge and how helpful they are. I guess one thing that really took me by surprise as well, and we touched on it earlier on, was maybe the amount of or the lack of self-belief people had. So for example, I might be on a training course where people are talking about how to do rent to rent, for example. 50 people in a room, you all learn the same thing. If you put those same 50 people together a year later, why is it that most of them haven't done anything? They all learnt exactly the same thing, and that is something that I just couldn't understand that, and I still struggle to comprehend that sometimes. Why some people will just not utilize what is available to them that can completely change your life.
And why do you think that is?
I think it's fears. I think it's and maybe my experience has been, as I said, when you're self-employed, no one's going to feed you. You've got to put food on the table. You've got to go out, do what you need to do to make sure that you're earning. And when you're, and I'm thinking of some of my friends I was at college and university with, when they're working for somebody else and that check is going to come regardless at the end of the month, and that pays the mortgage, that pays the food bills, that pays for the holidays, pays for the car insurance, pays for the kids' private school, there's a dependency then on that. There's now a massive fear of trying to step away from that. And the only way I can understand it is, well, I have no net to say I'm going to fall, I'm going to, hurt myself, and they're too afraid to fall. And that's just maybe my way of understanding it. And I think it ultimately comes down to fear.
Yeah, I think it's partly fear, partly confidence, or lack of confidence, i.e. I don't have a professional qualification. I think that holds a lot of people back. But I think also people just aren't able to recognise how able and competent they really are, because they've never pushed those boundaries. So whether they're staying in their comfort zone and they're fearful or whatever, but they don't know what the remarkable success that they can achieve, because there's so much greatness in every single person.
Absolutely.
But I think a lot of people don't go that deep because they don't push themselves enough for different reasons, whether it's fear or something else going in their lives, right now, and they never really explore. Whereas I guess people like you and I, again, linking it back to our childhood, of the experiences we've had, because I'm sure when you were growing up, your parents told you something like, for example, we came here with nothing. You hear stories of when I arrived at the airport, I didn't even have my wallet on me, never mind having 10 pence or a pound or whatever. So I came with nothing.
All the time, yeah.
And then obviously we have an inherent belief in a supreme being.
Yes.
Okay, so our belief is you die and you don't take anything with you in terms of material assets. The only thing you take with you is the good that you've done, and also, of course, the bad that you've done, because you get judged for that. So therefore, you and I guess, and our childhood helps us, by the way, linking it back to our kids, is that we don't have that fear because we know what having nothing is like. And even though we don't want to go back there, we're thinking, well, in order to get even further, we've just got to basically do whatever it takes.
Yeah, and
I think that you can't give somebody.
Yes, and that does link back to fear as well. So, when I talk about, I'm fearful of not having anything, and that's what keeps driving me. Do you see? So that I don't think that ever goes away. When I spent a lot of time, and I still do as much as I can, learning about other successful people, and now there's so many amazing podcasts and stuff and interviews you can watch and learn people and read their books and their journeys, and you see so many people that have achieved so much. They're still driven about this fear of having nothing, and so maybe it's deeply ingrained.
So we've
just got onto page 2 of your 17 pages.
Page 2. I told you you're going to be here for a long time, and as is, like I said to you at the start, and you were joking, it's normal and customary. At the end,
yes,
I'll give you a nice curry, okay, and another glass of water or a bottle of water, and off you go, my friend. It's been all worthwhile. Aren't you glad you came? That's what everybody says, by the way. So I'll save the trouble
for that.
Now you've got 13 active companies.
Have I? I forgot you're an accountant.
That I've seen.
13. Okay. You know what? That means you actually haven't found all of them.
Okay, well that's what I saw on a company's house.
Okay.
Where are the rest, by the way? Cayman, Isle of Man, Isle of Wight. Where are they?
I'm not going to say anything.
So we found something new now. We'll talk about that later, perhaps. Depending on how cooperative you are. So if you start being cooperative from now on, then I might not ask you about the companies in Isle of Man. But you've got 13 companies. Are they all active in property?
All my businesses are property related.
And you've got this facilities management company. Is that linked with?
Yeah, they're all property management. So that's maintenance.
Okay, for your own.
Pretty much.
Okay, and was that because you're spending a lot of money with other companies at the moment? We're leaking all this cash. What are we doing in house?
A little bit. It's a case of, but it's more about control. I'm a bit of a control freak, and this is my way of having more control over what goes on. We choose who works in the company, who does the maintenance, rather than giving out to a third party. We would just rely. Hopefully, they'll do a good job. I'm sure some would, but I think that's just made the control free.
So has that saved you costs and improved efficiency and obviously quality control?
Yeah, I mean, as an accountant, we know if we've got property in our own name, we go and unblock the toilet. You ain't going to offset that as a cost.
Yeah.
And if your maintenance company goes and deals with it, that's a cost that you can offset.
Yeah. Cool. And then you resigned from 4 companies back in April, on the 9th of April 2019. So either that was a dark day for you, or you woke up and thought, hold on a minute, I've got too many companies here. What are these for?
Yes.
What happened there?
A bit of restructuring.
Yeah. So why did you resign? Is it?
I'm still involved with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're not.
It's not as I'm not involved with them.
You're not.
I'm just not a director on them anymore.
Okay. And was that to focus on other stuff? Was it?
I think I'm just trying to think when that was. Yeah. So I'm still involved. There's only unfortunately there's only 24 hours in the day, and if I had another 24, I'd probably be able to use all them as well within the day. Mm-hmm. So it's a case of trying to focus on which things that you can take priority on, which ones you need to really give the responsibility to other people to, and say, well, you do that, I'm here to support you, but you deal with it.
Fair enough. And sometimes it's important to let go of stuff.
Yeah.
Whether you do that through choice or whether you've got other partners or associates to say, well, hold on a minute, maybe now's the right time for you to move on, possibly. whatever it is, we don't need to know that. I'm just interested to see what happened there. You might have a story on the 9th of April. Or I had a dream and this is what happened.
Well, I think the only interesting story was last year then when lockdown started happening, and I think pretty much everybody, I wasn't alone there, had a bit of a oh shit moment. What's going to happen now? Do you know what I mean? That was, I think, a bit of an emergency panic for everybody. How's that going to affect our business, our staff, our tenants? What if all our tenants stop paying next month? What's going to happen? How long can we survive? 5 minutes? Do you know what I mean? So.
Do you find that exciting, or does that scare the shit out of you? Because I find it exciting, by the way, to make it easier for you.
It's not exciting to be in that moment in time when you're thinking, you know, when the government tells you certain businesses can't operate, they have to close down completely. When your tenants can't go out to work and they potentially will have no income, they're not going to pay you. If it's a couple of tenants, you could probably manage. If it's a few, if you start thinking, well, if most of my tenants can't pay, how long am I going to be able to survive? You can't survive. And so you start thinking, so what does that mean? How's that going to affect this and how's that going to affect that? What about all the staff we employ? So we have about 24 staff across the businesses. What's going to happen with all that? So, you know, so there's certainly no fun and enjoyment in that. However, what I love doing is finding solutions. And that's, I think, just maybe another entrepreneurial trait. What you're doing is, you know, you're looking for solutions to problems. Okay, how can we? And you know, that's where I kind of started earlier on. As a young kid, you just start thinking early, how can I?
Yeah, I think using the pandemic's possibly a bad example in terms of asking the question, simply because obviously that was a particular situation, circumstance where obviously had too many people dying, falling ill. It's difficult and
it's massive uncertainty. Nobody experienced it.
Nobody wants to see that again.
Yeah.
Move away from that. When we have 2007 or 8, for example, and I was around and I had a few businesses, or you have other scenarios where times are tough, economy is a bit shaky, people are unsure, uncertain. I quite like it because I think, what am I now going to do differently? Because the words you used was, I now started thinking, or something to that effect. And it's when we then start thinking on a higher but deeper level, okay, what are the possibilities? How can I restructure, change things here to make sure all of my team are protected? They get paid every month because they've got families, kids, other commitments, so you want to keep them safe. You've got tenants if you're in property, or customers, clients, whatever, could look after all of them. And then obviously got to look after myself as well. So we have that responsibility. I think people who don't have a business perhaps don't always see it like that. Yeah. They think there's a boss here, there's employees here, the boss tells the employees what to do, and he or she is the bad guy, and the workers are the good people, for example, and that's just the way it works. And as you know, nothing could be further from the truth in the small business sector. Because we're always thinking about them, thinking, how do we make sure...
And in many businesses, the boss is the last one to eat. And people don't understand that or see that. Yeah. And they're the ones carrying all the risk.
Yeah.
And so when they're carrying all the risk and struggling, there's no appreciation for that often in small businesses. And when they're doing very well, there's no real empathy for them either.
Yeah. Doomed either way, aren't you? So, what's your net worth, Saj?
Probably got about 25 quid in my pocket. Maybe. I think that covers for fuel to get home, I think.
With? You're going to buy the food first, aren't you, for that?
Oh, yeah.
So, you might know. Seriously, what do you think your net worth might be? It's important for us to know.
No idea. I couldn't care less.
But surely there must be... Because you were talking earlier about more.
Yeah.
Whether that's more property, more money, whatever, but there's more
Achieving
of something.
more, doing more, serving more, being more, giving more.
Yeah.
But it's not all more money.
Yeah.
But money is an enabler for these things.
Yeah.
So if I want to give more, if I want to spend all my time helping other people, I have to have something that supports me to be able to do that. Yeah.
Of course.
So money is the enabler that does these other things. So when I talk about more isn't a case of I don't want more money, more greed, it's more money.
No.
It's what does that money enable you to do?
Yeah, of course. And we're going to talk about that in a short while as well. But profits are a consequence, aren't they? Of doing the right thing at the right time, in the right way, for the right people, okay, coming from a good place. I don't think profit's a dirty word. I don't think money's a dirty word. I don't think they're both bad words either. But when you, and don't tell me you don't, by the way, because I'm going to struggle to believe you, by the way, okay? Because I know you well enough, because we have a very similar background. But when all is done and dusted, and Saj goes to sleep, not every single day, but sometimes, then you do think about, okay, I'm going to do all this hard graft, employing 24 people, got a few hundred properties, let's call it 300 properties. Okay,
that's your words, not mine.
Average £75 rent per person, so we're getting a good picture here, by the way. And, you know, at the end of the day, what have I got to show for it? But not in terms of a good feeling, that's important, by the way, and like I said to you, you and I have an inherent belief to do good, no doubt about that, and to employ more people and contribute to the local economy and pay the taxes you have to pay, all that's very good, it's important. But we are human beings at the end of the day, so okay, what have I created for myself and my children and a legacy for them? Because you said earlier, obviously you want to make things easier for your children. Part of that, to some extent, is going to be, okay, I want to leave them in a better place than I found them when they were born, and hopefully, possibly, and most definitely, give them a better start than we had, not through fault of our parents or anybody else, it was just the situation and the circumstance. And I mean, you and I can't do what our parents did, because they moved 4,000 miles away to somewhere else. We've had it quite easy, do you know what I mean? But so at some point, I know Saj Hussain sits there and looks at his net worth, however he does it. You know, I'm an accountant, I'll probably do it different to you. So there will be some kind of figure there. What do you think that figure might be?
I've no idea. I think you touched on quite a few things there. So
you are an honest guy, aren't you, Saj?
Say again?
You are an honest guy, aren't you? You was honest.
I'm very. I like to think I'm very honest. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Doesn't mean I'm gonna share everything, but I'm very honest. When I started in property, it was a case, okay, how can I build something beyond me, family, make them comfortable? And when I fell over first time, I'll talk about falling over. Essentially, when I failed and I fall flat my face, I talk about in the concept of falling over, because the reason I call it falling over.
That's the IT business, yeah.
Yeah. Because the reason I call it falling over, because you get up and you move forward. So then I had to take my daughter out of private school then, and that was really, really tough. That was one of the toughest things I did. And people think, wow, first world problems and stuff. Because what I was doing, I was taking all my daughter's friends away from her. Do you see?
Difficult.
And when I think about it like that, when she said, Daddy, why can't I see my friends? Those are the kind of things that cut you up, and those are the kind of things that drive you. So when I talk about I want to create something beyond me, what I want to do is make what I'd like to do is for kids to be educated, to understand, why they're here, their purpose in life. Those are things that I think are important. It's not about me giving a lot of money. I say to them openly, me and your mum are going to sell everything and travel around the world. So don't expect anything from us.
yeah, of course. No, that's fine. But you do want to, obviously, give you...
So as long as I've got a little bit of money to travel around the world, once we sell everything, it'll be all right.
Well, you haven't. And that's my concern for you, because I've got a revelation here for you. Yeah. So obviously, based on the information shared with Companies House, you've got assets on your trading companies worth 2.864 million. You've got liabilities at 5.418 million. Cash at 420,000, so you got more than £25, by the way. You're hiding it somewhere safe in a bank. I don't know how many bank accounts, by the way. But your net worth here is minus £337,000.
Okay.
So you've either structured stuff really well, where I've not been able to kind of put everything together, or possibly, are you doing any property developments?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe those figures aren't realised, okay? And obviously, once they get realised and get reported, this number will change. But at the moment, you're more than broke, you're £237,000 under. So now we're going to use that figure to get to where you are right now, because I know that is a snapshot of the past, maybe the last year and before, but there's more going on here. So what property development deals are you working on right now?
So let me, I guess, ask you a question first. As an accountant, do you think that is a true reflection of somebody's situation, what you can see at Companies House?
The balance sheet gives you a snapshot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It says, here is the person's assets, here are their liabilities. So based on that, this company is worth X. That is a snapshot of the past. Now, obviously, accounts get filed up to 9 months after the year end. So when you're looking at it, it's the past. I think in normal, in other businesses, it's probably a bit more accurate. Okay, or not accurate, but you can rely on it a bit more. For property, you can't, and I'll tell you why you can't. So I bought a piece of land in Boston, which we were talking about just before we started this interview, for £350,000. And we then obtained, they had outline planning, we then obtained full planning on it. We're now building 40 houses. So as someone looks at this, a snapshot of that particular project, it might not always show the exact value, because obviously we're going to show the value of the properties as we're building them out. But you'll have a significant bank loan, okay, with a large payment up front. So if you look at the figures now, you'll see, Shaz, you've spent £650,000 buying all this material, paying for all this labour costs and services, okay, and you've got 315 grand worth of land. So really, you're in a minus figure, which I am. But when you get to the end, you'll have properties worth about over 8.1 million, probably a bit higher by the time you finish, because as you know, property prices are going up. Okay, you spent £6 million on building them, plus £315,000 to buy the land and STLT, whatever. So you've made profit possibly of 1.5 million. So you wouldn't see that until you get to the end, and that's what I'm trying to get to from here. Not to the end, but to the end of as in where we are right now.
Yes.
So in terms of the property projects or the developments you're working on, what are you working on right now?
So I've got a couple of developments. So I guess just to wrap up the other question is, so the company's house isn't really a true reflection of somebody's situation.
It's a reflection
as
of
an accountant.
It's a reflection of the past, and it's what people have reported. So unless we've got something better to go by, i.e. how many properties do you own? What's your rent roll? Okay, how much
which you don't
potential
have.
profit we're making. If you don't have, then if you don't give us anything else, then we have to go by this. So I'm helping you out here, by the way, because I really like you a lot, as you already know.
But it could be out of context.
Okay, but I'm going to help you prove that, because you're not being very helpful to me and our viewers. So which property projects are you working on right now?
So we've got a few projects that we're working on. A bigger one.
Developments, as opposed to
Developments.
HMOs
We've
or
got
whatever.
4 houses project that we're just finishing off at the moment.
So you're building 4 houses brand new, yeah?
Yeah. Well, one's a conversion, 3 new ones on that side.
Okay. And what's the GDV on those?
They'll be just over 2 million.
And what kind of profit margin are you looking at on those?
About 400 to 500 grand.
That's not bad, is it? And before we go on to any others, it's difficult right now in terms of buying materials.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
At the minute, we're trying to buy a shed load of roof tiles, bricks we ordered for the whole year. So the company that we're buying the bricks from called us one day about 8 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't place the order today for all 49 houses, you ain't gonna get your bricks for a whole year.
Really?
Up to you today. And this is a guy who our team have worked with over the last 35 odd years. So he wasn't pulling their leg.
Yeah.
They know him very well. His name is Richard. He said, Richard, if you don't place the order today, you ain't gonna get the bricks. So we have to place the order for the whole year. Roof tiles, okay, timber frame, can't get hold of it. Floor tiling, it's just gone crazy, isn't it? And the price went up and up and up and up and up. Cement's just gone through the roof. So is that going to dent this profit margin, or is that after taking into account all those costs?
I think these projects are complete now, so it's stuff that we're working on now. That's going
okay, so this is done.
This is more or less finished now.
Okay,
yeah.
so what else are you working on right now?
So we've got several houses that we're doing, and we've got a pub conversion which is still part way through. It's part converted and part we're trying to get additional planning on.
So are you converting the whole lot?
That would end up with probably all going well about 20 odd units.
20 units, and what's the GDV on those?
It will depend how it pans out, but those units will be probably 100 grand a unit. They'll be smaller units.
So about £2 million, and what's it all costing you in terms of purchase price, all of the fees, conversion?
I bought that site for I think about 300 something grand.
Mm-hmm. And how much it costing you to convert plus in bank finance?
It's not finished and stuff yet. I haven't got any bank finance on that. It's just private investor money, which is kind of mostly how I tend to work.
And are you doing a 50-50 JV or
No,
so kind of a split, or are you paying them interest?
No,
on
I don't
top?
pay them interest.
On average, if people are looking to get those kind of loans or deals from other investors, what kind of interest rate do you think they should be looking at?
In terms of borrowing money or lending?
Borrowing money.
Yeah, when you're borrowing money, you want to pay the lowest possible rate, don't you?
Yeah, but I mean,
So I think when it comes to investor money, you have to. There's a lot of different things to think about, and when someone just says to me off the cuff, "What is it you pay?" I said to them between 6 and 16%.
yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about. I mean, if somebody's out there thinking, I want to borrow 100 grand, 'cause I get this, I ask this question a lot from our viewers and followers. How much interest should I pay?
Well, let me phrase it a different way. If you're going to borrow 100 grand from the bank, right, what interest rate would you pay?
Well, if you go to Lloyd's, for example, you're looking at 4.5% above it.
So you get 4.5%. So how would you expect it to be different, or what variation do you think would it be with a private individual?
Well, I think because there's less checks and balances, they're taking more risk, possibly the issue of security. So you're looking at least 8%, if not higher.
Okay. So then, with the more risks, the security, the less checks and balances, the more variation there is, the higher the rate becomes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I think, the key part. It's not just how much is it, how much money, and what rate. There's all these other underlying things that will determine.
Which
what
is
the rate
obviously
is.
knocks up the rate, doesn't
Yes.
it? Yeah. Because obviously, if somebody's got a first charge,
Yeah.
the rate might be 7%, for example.
Exactly.
If they've got first charge, 1% a month.
Yeah, and I've got stuff that where we've got 4%, 5% we're paying on first charge.
Yeah.
From private individuals, and you can do that quite easily because that's still a lot more than what they get at the bank, and the money's very, very safe.
It's secure
in that structure.
That's right. If you give
see?
a first charge, yeah.
So it all depends how the deal is structured. I think that's absolutely key,
Yeah.
and the reflective of the risk.
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of just to add my 2 pence worth is when people ask me that question is, I say, don't worry about what the interest rate is. Look at the deal.
Yeah.
How much are you making? From that, how much are you willing and able to pay to make the deal happen?
Yes.
Because
That's a good way of looking at it, yeah.
if you've got to pay 1% a month, okay, which is 12% a year, most people gasp, I've got to pay 12%. No, this happens all the time, by the way. You've got to pay 12%, but you're going to walk away with, let's talk hard numbers here, by the way. So let's assume they bought £200,000 and 12% of the, and it's just for a year. You're paying £24,000, but you're walking away with 100,000. Okay, after paying the cost. What's your problem? Why are you worried about how much you're paying them?
I agree.
Get the money, do the deal.
With bridges, they look at it the same way. So bridging, I guess, is a form of private money. They're just more sophisticated in their approach.
Yeah.
And if a bridger typically is charging, you say, 1% a month or 12%, as you said,
Yeah.
and sometimes people go, that's very expensive. Plus all the fees and charge and everything else you're going to pay on top of that. Realistically, it could be 14, 15, 16%. It translates into as a true cost. But actually, as you've just said, if you're making 100 grand out of it and you're not putting much of your money in, very little money or very little risk, then that's still a decent
But I
transaction.
see a lot of people can't get over that barrier because they're thinking
It's psychological because
Lloyd's charge 1.5%, 4%. But I think you're not working with Lloyd's because Lloyd's probably aren't interested in giving you money because when they give you their ticklet of all the stuff that they want, okay, of all the information, you probably haven't got half of it anyway,
Yes.
and you're going to fall through the cracks. And then, as you know, inevitably, one of my frustrations is obtaining finance. I'm doing it all the time because we're working on so many different deals. It's a nightmare, Saj. It takes, they'll say 8 weeks, it takes a year.
Yeah.
It takes a bloody year. I'm working on one right now. We've been at it since March. And they said, end of August, we promise you'll be done.
Yes.
August gone, September gone, I think October's going to go as well.
And during that time, the criteria can change as well.
Of course it is.
And then you get to the end and it isn't what it was
Of
initially
course it
going
is,
to be.
but it can do. So these 20 units, which is the pub, you think the end value would be around 2 million?
Probably.
And
that will be the main building itself. Then we've still got the land at the back.
Yeah,
that we
which
want to
you
try and develop on as
So
well.
what kind of profit margin are we looking at on that?
I think I would always look at 25% plus as a margin, really.
And are you going to keep those or are you going to sell
We'll
them?
probably keep those.
So refinance, pull your money out, pay off the investors.
Because it's a good rental. Profit. We were talking earlier just before we started. It's almost like property for free.
It
Why
is.
wouldn't you?
It is, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And have you invested any of your funds in that particular deal?
No.
Okay, so that's
Not
pure-
what I had is back out.
Okay, So you
I
got
just swap it with invested money.
so the house is done, pub's done.
Yeah.
Any other developments you're working on?
Not in developments right now that we've started. As I said, we've got several house projects, HMOs and regular kind of stuff going on and flips and things. Over the last year, we've probably done less than what we would do ordinarily. And I think that's primarily because just the deals just don't stack. But I think that will change in the coming months.
Okay, cool. So now I'm going to ask you a few questions just around your thoughts, and then we're going to finish off by asking you a few quick fire personal questions where you just give a yes, no, 1, 2, 3 answer to keep it simple. What does the world of Saj Hussain look like in 5 years' time? Where will you be? What are you going to be doing?
I think I'm already doing what I'd like to do. I enjoy doing what I'm doing. The word more comes to mind, but it's more of the same type of thing. So from a property point of view, we want to do more projects, more developments. Our lettings businesses are growing. We're starting another one. We're starting an estate agency as well. The sourcing business will probably relaunch, I think, probably early next year. And the training and mentoring side of the business as well. So it's not that different, because I guess of the last 15 years, I've always kind of evolved slightly. So I've done a lot of different things, and some of those things are very different from what I was doing years ago, but it's all been slow movements rather than kind of jumping around all over the place. And so I think it'll just be a continuation of that.
And what do you think the world might look like in 5 years' time?
If only I knew. I think the last year and a half has taught us that we can never predict what's going to happen, and we do live in an uncertain world. I think things that will impact us from our business and a property point of view, the fact that more people probably working from home, in terms of transportation, amount of space people want, outdoor spaces. I think these are the kind of things that directly impact us. I think the government is going to probably continue to beat us up as landlords and developers. I don't think they're going to be holding back there.
Did I hear you say a conservative government, by the way? I think that's what
any government.
That's what I
Any
heard. That's what. By the way, you'd make a really good politician.
Would I?
You're fantastic. You're brilliant.
Okay.
I mean, I'm poor. I'm really
I'll
bad.
the question.
They send me in there, and I just go and answer all the questions. And you're a moron. You answer all the questions. I answer all the questions. Okay, you're fantastic. You dance around perfect. Have you got any training in the world of politics by any chance? Because
I haven't actually.
If I sign you up, this is well done, Shaz. You got a star for us here. You're really good. Really good.
I think some things that need to be personal, because I'm very, very public in terms of find me very easily online on social media and stuff like that.
Yeah, everywhere.
My family are fairly private. They, apart from my youngest daughter, occasionally some, might be in my. For some, if I try and take a picture of the family, they all run off and disappear. Nobody wants to be me, because they're generally all quite private. And so it's about striking a balance of what you share, why you're sharing it, what's the relevance of it. As well.
I think it depends on where you come from. So a name you mentioned earlier said I've got X amount of cash or assets under management is a very different thing in terms of positioning to when somebody asks you a question, say just share what's going on for you. It's a bit like saying what car do you drive, for example. Okay, I used to drive a Rolls Royce and say, oh, but I'm not telling you, I'm not telling you. Whereas I'll say, well, I drive a Rolls Royce. I know that might scare certain people off, or they might have a certain view about me. But they think, hold a minute, Labour politician, well, driving a Rolls Royce, what's going on here? But if they listen to the story and what happened and how that happened, by the way, that makes perfect sense. So it's an opportunity to share information from a good place, and you're obviously, I know you well enough now to know you're a good guy. Whether you got 5 properties, by the way, or 555 properties, it matters not. It matters not. It's just to show people what's achievable. Because sometimes you know this as well as I do, if not better. We're talking to people in an audience in a room, and there's that one thing that you say, which in your mind may not be significant, but in 5 years' time, Mandy comes up and says, oh man, do you remember Saj, I met you in Peterborough, Birmingham, and you said that one thing, okay, which you probably say often enough, but to that one person, that one thing which was really small and insignificant in your mind changed their life.
Yes.
You
And I've
never
had
know.
that experience on the other side
Yeah.
myself many times. I've heard somebody speak and something they've said has really resonated with me, and might be a year later you meet them and said, you said something actually had quite a profound
Exactly.
effect. So I get that, and we talk about what other people achieve, and I think if we look around us in the world, people are trying to get to Mars right now, so we have to think big. And really, very rarely, especially in property, are we trying to do something that no one has ever done before. So if other people have done it and they achieved it, it's doable. It's just, how can we do it? That's the question. It's not, can it be done? It's, how can we do it?
Yeah, of course. Well, we managed to get some numbers actually, didn't we?
We did.
Your current developments, okay? Your current developments. I figured that out as well, by the way, but I'm not going to share that because that's on company's house. Your wisdom, by the way.
I'll be looking for a birthday card this year then.
Of course you will, of course you will. And more. I'll send you a cake. If you could have coffee or tea, if you drink your coffee, you don't, fine, but if you could have a drink of any sort with any historical figure,
Wow.
who would that be and why?
I think for me, I lost my dad about 15 years ago. A few more minutes with him would be nice.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Yeah. But my father passed away when I was 15. And it had a profound impact on me, do you know? And yeah, so I share that. It is difficult. And I think that's probably one of the driving forces really that you and I have had, by the way, Saj, do you know? I mean this in the nicest way possible, obviously. You'd never want anybody's parents or parent to pass away. But I think not having that support there, I think has been a driving force for us in I feel weird, in a different way, do you know what I mean? Yeah, so I share your pain, my brother.
Yeah, we're not alone in that. Lots of people experience that.
Yeah. It's difficult. It is difficult. And if you could live anywhere in the world, apart from Kashmir, of course, where would you live?
It'd definitely have to be Birmingham. We've got everything in Birmingham. Why would we want to live anywhere else?
Yeah. If you weren't to be Birmingham, and you choose anywhere else, where do you live?
It'd have to be the closest place to be able to get to Birmingham.
Yeah. You like Birmingham that much, do you?
I do. It's an amazing place. I tell everyone.
I like Birmingham. I mean, I prefer Edinburgh. But
I'm not sure about that.
yeah, I like it. I like Birmingham. So quick fire round here, just for you
Go
to
for it.
very, very quickly answer questions the best that you can. If you
multiple
could
choice.
be remembered, no, just very quick though. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would that one thing be?
Making an impact to others, positive difference.
Okay. And what's the best compliment you've ever received?
I'm still waiting for that one.
Fair enough. What's an insult that you've received but you're quite proud of it?
I'm an only son, so an uncle telling my parents, your son will never amount to anything.
Yeah. Well, you proved it wrong, didn't you? What's a funny story that your family tells about you that you'd be open to sharing with us today?
I think when we're up for doing something daft, I'll definitely be the first one to go. So it's really a case of, yeah, Dad will be up for that.
Yeah. What's been your least favourite job that you've had so far in life?
When I was at university, I did 12 months work experience, and that was at West Midlands Police in the newly formed an IT department and also the audit department in accounts. And there were nice people I was around, but it was just so monotonous, the work. And this was my really first experience of working in an office, and I think that was something I just really did not enjoy.
It wasn't
doing.
for you.
But it really shaped me as well and taught me that I don't want this for the rest of my life.
What's something that people seem to misunderstand about you? in your opinion or view or experience?
These are deep questions, you know.
The quick fire, you have to give back.
Quick fire.
You're a dentist after all. This is no problem for
we
you.
still on the dentist thing.
Yeah, I got that from one. Someone told me Sad's a dentist.
It just goes to show your research may not be very accurate, but never mind.
Someone else, this is from the past.
Yeah.
We were talking about you, and someone said, as you know, I've got friends in Birmingham. I said, oh, Saj. Yeah, we know Saj, he's a dentist. And that just stuck in my head, Saj is a dentist. And I've never asked you, have I?
No, you haven't. You haven't.
So I just assumed from that point onwards, they're probably talking about some other Saj, who's also into property, by the way. Birmingham's a big place. I'm sure there's more than one Saj Hussain who's a dentist and is in property, by the way. But yeah.
Just thinking, misunderstood. I don't know. I think with me, you know, you get what you see, really.
Yeah. What makes you feel inspired?
Seeing what other human beings have achieved, which other people think is impossible.
What do you like most about yourself?
The belief, self-belief.
And if you could go back and speak to the 18-year-old Saj all those decades ago, what one piece of advice would you give him?
Pick one thing and stay focused.
And
put the blinkers on and don't get distracted by anything else.
And then just go for it.
Yeah.
Well, Saj, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you know I have taken it easy on you because you're a friend. But the next time you come here, when the studio's all even more done up, okay, we're gonna have the second round of questions.
Yes.
For you. But really, honestly,
I never did ring you and ask you. I said, "What we're talking about?" I just turned up. I should have realised.
But you knew I was going to take it easy on you because it's the first interview. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No, but it's been good. Thank you for sharing.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.